Hello, my friends. Welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday for Tuesday, July 14th, 2026. This is Jennifer. Welcome back to my sewing room, guys. It was a very productive week last week, and I have some fun things to share with you. First up and most obvious is I did finish the baby quilt. This is the quilt that I designed for my first grandchild. This was designed with both the parent and the baby in mind because the fox is obviously really special. It's something that my kiddo really loves. And then I wanted it to be sort of a gradient with the sunshine all the way down to the fox in the grass. If you guys missed it when I talked about this top a couple of weeks ago, I bought almost all of the fabric for this at Hip Stitch. I had the butterfly fabric and I had this quilt back fabric. So I bought almost everything else at Hip Stitch when I was visiting Jules in Albuquerque, and she helped me pick out the fabric that I wanted. I shared the vibe that I had, and then we just pulled everything, and it was like super fun. And now it is quilted. The quilt back I actually did buy on clearance sale a while back, so that's something I had in my stash, and I just knew that it was going to be perfect for this. Something else I finished also for the baby is going to be a Christmas gift, because we will have an actual human person in the world by then, so there will need to be Christmas gifts. And I stumbled across these ages ago before I even knew about the grandkiddo, and I had it bookmarked for a very long time. And when I was going through all of my embroidery designs, I found this and realized these were perfect and I needed to make them. So this is a free design. You can find it on the Kreative Kiwi website. I will put a link in the description, and they are plush dice. I had the best time making these guys. This is a machine embroidery pattern. It comes in a bunch of different sizes, and they're all free in like one file. This is the 5-inch version. So I, just because I thought this would make a good size, I made 2 of them. They are rainbow order, so you get both counting and rainbow. So you get red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple in order. And I did that on both of these. So not only can you learn to count with these and play with these or whatever, but you also get your colors. These were very easy and stitched up pretty fast. So if you have an embroidery machine and you just want a fun thing to make, that is a free pattern. It is a layer of batting with your fabric, and actually put a little stabilizer on the back of the dots. I don't remember if it calls for that or not, but I just thought they would hold up better. And then it's all just stitching. So it is quilted. I think there's a non-quilted version too, and they even include just in basic instructions. So if you want to make this but you don't want to use your embroidery machine, they're just basic instructions for piecing something like this. Years and years ago, I made a giant block for my own kids out of an old sweatshirt that had iron-on letters, and this gives me some nostalgia for that project. It's just a different version for a new person. These projects were pretty easy to finish up because this was binding and label, and then these I had already stitched out and I put them aside a couple weeks ago and just kind of forgot about. So all I did on these was assembly, and then I had been accumulating a pile of shirts, blouses really, that I wanted to either alter or donate, and I went through all of them and I ended up altering every single one of them. The one I'm wearing is a shirt that I altered, and I'll tilt the camera real quick so you guys can see. So this is a redesign of a thrift flip. I think last year, maybe year before last, but I think it was last year, I bought a tablecloth at Austin Creative Reuse that featured these designs. This is hand embroidered on the corners of the tablecloth. I did wear it a few times, but I was never really happy with the fact that the flowers had gathering in them, and so it made them hard to see. And eventually I just decided I needed to redesign it, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. So on Friday, I took the entire thing apart. I took all of the red binding off. I took the red neck lining that I had made off that was a binding with an elastic in it. I reassessed what it looked like once I got it to that point, and then I sewed the 2 halves together front and back. I did top stitching on that, and then from there I used a pattern from my 1988 copy of Simply the Best Sewing to make this tunic blouse. So this is what the blouse looks like flat. That is this pattern. Obviously I had already cut a neck, so I had to work with what I had. This is a patternless pattern, so it tells you like, you know, measure your hips, add this much, and then you want to make it this long and this wide, and you cut it and it's a big rectangle. The instructions are super simple. I didn't use the neck instructions again because I had already cut this to be more of a peasant blouse neck, so it was very, very wide. If you guys have been around for a few weeks, you may remember that pretty recently I cut the lace sleeves off of a blouse that I had had for a while that I liked, but I just never liked the sleeves. So these are the front and backs of one of those lace sleeves, and that gave me just enough shoulder coverage so that the shirt will stay on and I didn't have to worry about, you know, removing any material on the inside of the shirt, because I wanted to make sure that I kept this part as intact as possible. It did end up being a little too short, so I added just a band of green fabric. I went through all of my stash till I found something that went with this fabric. And it was a little longer than I needed, so I ended up turning it under and I hand hemmed it so that there is no stitching along the hem. Hey guys, excuse the change of scenery. I was editing my video and realized I must have hit stop instead of pause when I finished talking about my blouse. So the quilt and the shirt alterations and the dice, that's what I did last week. The shirts were a lot of last week because the other projects didn't take very long. I had a really good time working on that, and I just really encourage you guys to try your hand at altering some clothing, because it feels like it's high stakes, but if you do it to something thrifted, like, or you do it to something that you've worn for a while and you don't wear anymore, the stakes are pretty low. So if you mess it up, just finish it up, make it as nice as you can and let it go, or cut it up and use it for something else. So yeah, I just really enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed making my clothes fit me better and feel more like me, and I hope that that's something that you guys try as well at some point. I have no idea what I'm working on this week. Maybe I'll finish up the Pegasus quilt. I have some other mending that I brought home from one of my kids, so I'll probably be doing that this week. Maybe I'll tackle those hooded towels, which I have everything for and ready to go. I just need to cut the pieces and sew them together. So I don't know. You never know what I'm going to show you next week. So you guys come back and find out, and have a wonderful week. Have a crafty week. Hug someone you love, and I'll see you next week. Bye.